Right, I'm live. Okay, so folks, that was a great bit of music there from the Emerald Irish Band. Okay, made me very thirsty, but I'm not going to burst the bubble yet. Now, up in the studio live, we have Pentony and Smith, and they're going to talk about Polish racing, Irish racing, and English racing. Let's hear what they have to say.
St Patrick's Day. We're really pleased to have you here, and we hope that you enjoy our fun and educational spin on horse racing in Ireland, Poland and England. And I'm joined this evening by my fellow racing anorak, Mr. Seamus Pentony.
Evening all, Richard, friends from far and wide. So, but before we get started, we have to be clear on one thing. Rich.
Yeah, what's that?
Does the wife know?
Seamus, the wife knows everything. What, your wife doesn't know?
Doesn't know. Wife
No?
doesn't know.
Are you sure about that?
I'm pretty sure.
Let's check and see.
Yeah, let's check and see.
On the far outside, the wife doesn't know is moving up and is now fourth and right alongside of My Wife Knows Everything. My Wife Knows Everything and The Wife Doesn't Know are moving together on the far turn, and they're coming after Lady Mutada coming to the quarter pole. Lady Mutada in front. Here come My Wife Knows Everything and The Wife Doesn't Know on the far outside. Little Miss Macho is fourth. They're into the stretch. Lady Mutada, My Wife Knows Everything. Center of the track, The Wife Doesn't Know. Into the final furlong. My Wife Knows Everything. The Wife Doesn't Know. They're 1-2. Of course they are. My Wife Knows Everything in front. To the outside, The Wife Doesn't Know. My Wife Knows Everything. The Wife Doesn't Know. My Wife Knows Everything. More than The Wife Doesn't Know. Whew. This Tallahassee was third, and Morningside Heights was fourth. Yeah!
So, I think that says it all. So, folks, we're off to start off with a little bit of fun, and very importantly, it is International Women's Month, and then it was International Women's Day specifically last week, and we managed to secure an interview with one of the most famous sportswomen in any sport, but specifically in horse racing. Richard?
Yeah, we met. Actually, absolutely. Yeah, we managed to do a fascinating interview with top jockey Rachel Blackmore, and that's actually coming up shortly. But first, let's have a brief chat about some famous Polish and Irish racehorses.
Yeah, okay. And for those watching who know absolutely nothing about horse racing, stay that way. Don't go near it. It's a mug's game, but we love it. We enjoy it. You get into it. And on that note, one of the most famous horses ever was called Galileo. Not the astrologer, the actual horse. And it won, what made it famous was it won both the English and Irish derbies back in 2001.
Yeah, and Seamus, also, what you might not know is that Poland also had a very famous horse called Galileo. And this horse went on to conquer the very best of the British and Irish back in 2002 at the biggest jumps racing event, the Cheltenham Festival. And Galileo, the Polish version, is the only thoroughbred from Poland to ever win a Grade 1 race in England or Ireland.
Spectacular. And how did that horse come to run in England?
Well, Galileo was sired by a famous Polish stallion called Jape. And there was a trainer in the UK, Tom George, who heard about Jape and found out that he was producing classic winners here in Poland. So he decided to come over to Poland to look for himself to see if he could find a horse. And he bought Galileo for £280,000. And that went on, and it won at the Cheltenham Festival. Seamus, maybe we could touch on the subject of breeding, give racing viewers or non-racing viewers an idea on how big this industry is.
Well, for the week that's in it, we're actually in the middle of Cheltenham Week, which is the Olympics of National Hunt, which is jump racing. But Galileo, for example, is more on the flat. But because of his pedigree, because of his winning capability and his ability to pass that on to his offspring, for him to have to father any more kids or whatever, to actually, when the lady is brought to the stallion, you're looking at a fee of anything between 550 and 600,000 euros. Think about that. And with that number, the Polish level? What's the Polish standard? Would it be something similar?
Seamus, you know, the numbers you're talking about are astronomical. You know, the gulf between Ireland and England and Poland is huge. As an example, there's a horse here in Poland called Bush Brave, who a few years ago won the Triple Crown here in Poland. So that's the 2,000 guineas, the Derby, and the St. Leger over various distances. Now, the price for a mare or a filly to go to Bush Brave is actually only £500. So that's 2,500 zloty. Galileo was 3 million zloty. So you can see that there's a big difference. So hopefully, you know, there'll be another winner produced from Poland for the Cheltenham Festival.
Okay. And where are we next? But as we mentioned, the Cheltenham Festival is one of the most famous, important meetings. And we're actually in the middle of it, and we are so lucky to actually have the conversation that we're going to have, because she has been spectacular so far, and it's only 2 days in. Richard?
Yeah, so Seamus, you know, you say this is one of the most important meetings for the Irish trained horses, but what about the industry as a whole? Why is racing such a big sport in Ireland and probably not so much so here in Poland?
I think it's more of a cultural thing, and it's also a social thing. It's a bit like, it's very close to GAA, because it's involved in rural communities, the point-to-point racing national hunt. It's where communities get together and meet. They wouldn't see people from one end of a season to another, or one end of a month to another, and it's actually used like growing up ourselves. Our picnics were point-to-point, or we go to a race meeting, and it's a very social event, and,
right.
and it's ingrained in us in that regard.
Okay. And, you know, in Poland, if I just mention a few things about Poland, and one of the things I wanted to touch on was the cost of racing. You know, racing is known as a rich man's sport. And if you wanted to train a racehorse in Ireland or England, the cost of that is going to be somewhere around about €2,000 or £2,000 per month. So we're talking about 8,000 to 10,000 Polish zloty. But here in Poland, it's much less expensive. So you're looking at probably in the region of 300 to 500 euro. So we're talking 1,200 to 2,000 zloty. So the difference is massive. Yet the prize money differential at the lower level between Ireland and England and Poland is actually not that much. So Seamus, what's the next topic?
What is the next topic? The jockeys. So we were wondering, or a lot of people wonder, how much do actually jockeys earn? Well, because it's a big question, because it's big money, especially in Cheltenham week. You see 50, 60, 80, 100, 120,000 pounds real money in prize money.
Well, I think, you know, to be honest, I think the best person to answer that is Rachel Blackmore. Maybe it's a good time for that interview.
Absolutely.
Let's hear what Rachel says. You know, outside of the sport itself, you know, everyone knows you for the sport, and, you know, you're connected to all of these, you know, famous jockeys per se.
Okay.
But let's say, for example, you were holding a dinner party at home. Who would be the 3 non-racing celebrities that you'd like to invite, and why would you do that?
So during the first lockdown, during the first lockdown, like a lot of people, I watched the Michael Jordan documentary on Netflix, The Last Dance. I found that very good, so I would, Michael Jordan is invited. I think someone like Bill Gates. I think he's just a very, very interesting man. You know, the work he does for charity and stuff. He's just a very interesting man. So I think he'd be cool to have as well. And someone like Beyonce there as well, just because she's very cool too. I don't know. They'd be three kind of random guests to have, but why not the 3 of them?
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And of all the race courses, Rachel, which is your favourite?
My favourite is Leopardstown to ride, definitely. Like, it's just it's a very fair place. You know, you turn down the back, there's 5 fences in a row. If you get a horse around Leopardstown, over fences, jumping in a good rhythm. Like, it's a fantastic feeling from a jockey's perspective. It's a fantastic race course to ride. I'm in a lucky position to be, you know, getting on horses who are of the caliber to be in those races. So, you know, if you're not in, you can't win. And yeah, I definitely think the Gold Cup would be one I'd love to win someday.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, so this question probably shouldn't really be asking a jockey this one, but we're going to ask you anyway. When was the last time you had a full fried Irish breakfast?
So the traditional full fried Irish breakfast, like, I probably would never really go for that. I'd go for like the bacon sandwich, or, you know, that kind of yeah, I'd never ever pick that on the menu. But I, from a jump jockey's perspective, I'm extremely lucky in that I can eat what I like. My diet is, my weight is good, we'll say. So I'm just over 9 stone, and the bottom weight in Ireland for riding over jumps is 912. So yeah, my weight isn't a problem.
The question that we are going to ask in the quiz. So,
okay.
Or should I be saying that, Richard, or can we edit that out afterwards?
Yeah, we can, Seamus. Yeah, we can do that.
How many hands high are you?
Oh, sugar! I meant to Google this. You'll have to. Someone will have to get out their phone and translate this. But I'm just over 5'7", so whatever that is in hands.
When we look at racing, it's probably one of the only sports where men and women can compete, I think, on equal terms. So for kids who are you mentioned kids earlier, which I think was great. So for kids looking to be the next Rachel Blackmore, what's your advice to them in terms of, getting into the racing industry and making a career in the racing industry?
Yeah, so first of all, for me to be the same advice, male or female. Like, there's no difference. You have to work if you want to be a jockey. If you want to go down that career, if you want to be a trainer, if you want to enter into any aspect of the racing industry, it does require an awful lot of work. From a jockey's perspective, there is a lot more jockeys out there who want to ride those couple of horses than there is those couple of horses, if you get me. So it's an extremely competitive game. So you just have to be prepared from day one that you're going to have to work very hard.
Your colleague, Hugh Morgan, what a ride on Young Dev.
Unbelievable. Incredible.
We're just sitting there watching, going, what are we looking at here? It's just, and even Ruby said that is ride of the decade, if not the century.
Yeah, incredible. Like, for someone like you, Morgan, to have gotten praise like that from Ruby Walsh, you can get praise. If you win a race, the owners will be delighted with you. Your trainer will. Your mother will be delighted. But like, to get praise from your fellow colleagues, like from someone like Ruby, to give him praise like that is one of the biggest accolades I think you can be delighted with as a jockey. So, it was an incredible performance, but he's an extremely dedicated man. You go back to there giving advice to young people, it'll probably be try and be like you, Morgan, because he is extremely disciplined with his weight, with his diet, with his fitness. I remember going racing with him one day there in the summer. Last summer, he got a lift with me to the races, and we were driving home, and I was pulling into the shop. Summer racing in Ireland, you could be coming home there at 9, 9:30.
Yeah.
You're stopping off in McDonald's and those kind of places. There's nowhere else to get anything nice and hot to eat. But like you, Morgan, pulled out a lunchbox, had a boiled piece of chicken cooked from earlier with a side salad, and he had brought that with him.
Wow.
In preparation for not having to stop and eat, fast food. So that's the kind of dedication that he has. He was riding out during our first lockdown. Racing was off with waterproofs on, so he wouldn't get too heavy in the sun. Do you know what I mean? So that's the kind of ability. No, ability is wrong. That's the work he puts in. You know, to have the strength to do what he did was phenomenal. But it's because he puts in an awful lot of work, and you know, I hope he does. I hope there is Ride of the Decade, and he does get it. You know, it's the fact that he did it over a prolonged distance. That requires something. That requires extreme core strength, first of all. And you know, you don't get that without putting in a lot of work. Like there's no specific exercises, I suppose. You know, different jockeys would do different things to keep fit and whatever. I kind of do myself would do kind of circuits type things. You know, I do legs one day, arms another day, you know, weights, band work, lots of kind of general things, but everything kind of working back towards your core. You know, that's an important thing to have as strong as you can when you are riding.
Okay, you talk about Hugh's dedication to the sport. You know, we were looking earlier before we came online. You know, you've had 459 rides this season so far. You've had the most rides of any jockey in Ireland. So that shows a real level of dedication. But our question is, do you have any sort of techniques, either, you know, like mental strength techniques or conditioning techniques? What drives you? You know, what drives you to that level of work ethic?
A very good agent, anyway. First of all, he's the man who gets me all these horses. So his name is Gary Cribben, and yeah, he does a great job. But yeah, look, I'm in a very good position. You know, I'm in a position that a lot of jockeys in the way would love to have. You know, I've got a very good partnership with Henry de Bromhead. He's got a massive yard of horses who, you know, who are there for me to ride, and like that's a massive help.
I've just got another question, Seamus, if you don't mind, just on a side note to that. So, okay, we're coming up to Cheltenham. And at the moment, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, hopefully you are, but your career earnings so far are 4.275 million euros. So
I'll just stop you there.
Go on.
Because
go on.
a friend of mine, what?
Go on.
A friend of mine looked at an Irish Racing, our website over here, it has your career earnings.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine looked it up and rang me and was like, oh my God, like I knew you were doing well, but like this is unbelievable. I don't think she realized that I'm on a percentage of that. I thought she, you know, she thought I was pocketing all those career earnings.
And I think that's what's going to be really hard this year, is like missing that initial roar, because that on the Tuesday and the first day, it's just you have to experience it. Like it must be just something spectacular. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge, no doubt. But although you're almost used to it now at this stage, though it still must be kind of eerie, like having empty racetracks.
Yeah, look, it is the Dublin Racing Festival in Leopardstown. The atmosphere there last year, like when Faheen won, when Honeysuckle won, was incredible. You know, yes. So you know, it is very different. Cheltenham will be extremely different, but I think as a racing community, we're just extremely grateful that we're going to be there. Things are continuing on. It's providing a lot of you know, a lot of release and entertainment for people. They'll be tuning in at home from the couch, but you know, it's fantastic that we're there. It's very important for our industry that it goes ahead. So, you know, I don't think there'll be anyone complaining about the fact there's no crowds. We'll just be looking forward to the crowds being back next year, hopefully. Absolutely. And to wrap up, and to thank you for your time, Rachel, we want to do either a €25 each way or a €50 win bet, and the proceeds will go to the Irish Injured Jockeys Fund. So we need a tip or two. I was trying to think of one that won't be so obvious maybe, but a horse I rode in the Dublin Racing Festival was second on him there. His name is Champagne Gold, and he will go to Cheltenham. He's in the Martin Pipe, he's in one or two of the other handicaps as well, but whatever he runs in, I think you could go for a 25 each way on him. I think he'll run very well. For Bob Ollinger, or no, Honeysuckle, I suppose. She's going to be very short. Bob Ollinger go for Bob Ollinger. He might be a bit more value. He could possibly run in. He's in the Ballymore and he's in the Supreme. So yeah, whichever he goes for. He's in fantastic form at the moment.
So on behalf of myself and Richard, and also especially a big thank you to Zoe for organising this. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And happy St. Patrick's.
Happy St. Patrick.
Thanks a million for having me, and happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone tuning in as well. And well done for all the good work that you're doing over there.
Thanks very much, Rachel. Have a good one. Thank
Super,
you very
guys.
much.
Cheers, Rachel. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, everybody, we hope you enjoyed that. We certainly enjoyed doing that interview.
Absolutely. What a star. And so modest. And just to put you into context, we actually did do the charity bet, one charity bet on Bob Ollinger, and those winnings, €125, will be winging its way to the Injured Irish Jockeys Fund, as promised. And on, I believe it's Friday, that Champagne Gold would be, look, you could do worse than an each way when it comes like that. But she's just fantastic. And in wrap up, we've got one for the evening that's in it. We've got one more very, very specific interview that's very, very important to National Hunt Racing. Please.
Well, what a great finish that was by Glaxo Princess, and we're joined by the winning jockey, Dermot O'Loughlin. Dermot, you must be delighted.
Oh, geez, I tell you as well, I'm delighted as well. But you know, the way that was me, it's very and the only Spaniards give me a lot of support over the last 3 months. You know, when he jumped the last, I thought there's no way this fella makes it up the hill. But he gave a little slap at the brain as during the whole way home, and I'm telling you, when he goes to Aintree off the soft bend, did very, very well. I tell you, I'm absolutely delighted.
Sorry, I didn't actually catch any of that.
Oh, sorry, I'm a bit excited.
That's okay, we'll go again. Okay, yeah, well, I'm joined by the winning jockey on Glaxo Princess, Dermot O'Loughlin. Dermot, you must be delighted.
Oh, geez, I tell you, I'm delighted as well. But we went to me, I'm very hard in the heart, and the owner of Flanagan's give me a lot of support over the last months. I'm telling you, when he jumped the last, I thought, there's no way this fella makes it up the hill. Better give us that.
Sorry. Nothing. It's not just the odd word I'm missing, I'm really not getting anything at all. It really is too fast.
Right. The winner just me. For Miss Edwards, and otherwise in the yard, we're very hard in the heart, and he ordered us to Flanagan in the last quarter of the last few months, but he jumped the last.
Right, you're not actually slowing down there, are you? It's the same speed with gaps. Right?
Right.
Gonna take it from the top, nice and slowly.
Right, the winner...
Wait!
Right, the wind, not just for me.
The wind is not just for you.
No, not the wind. The wind's not just for me.
The wind's not just for you.
For Miss Edwards.
Mr. Train.
No, not Mr. Train. It's for the train of Miss Edwards. For the train of Miss Edwards.
I'm getting Mr. Edwards. Is it trainers?
The train of the horse.
The train ran over the horse.
There's no faster train, I told you.
There's no need to swear.
You heard that all right, didn't you?
Sorry?
Look. I'm the jockey, right?
You're the jockey, right?
I'm the jockey.
You're the jockey.
Mr. Edwards.
Mr. Edwards.
It's the train of the horse.
It's the trainer of the horse.
Yes.
So the wind's not just for you, it's for the trainer, Mr. Edwards.
And all the boys in the yard. All the boys in the yard.
All the boys in yard.
Boys in the yard.
Boys in the yard.
All. The boys.
The boys.
In.
In.
The yard.
The yard.
All the boys in the yard.
All the boys in the yard.
And the owner, Mr. Flanagan.
And we honour Mr.
The
Flanagan.
owner, Mr. Flanagan.
Oh, and the owner, Mr. Flanagan.
Give me a lot of support.
A lot of support.
A lot of support.
What's the ladder for? To get on the horse?
A lot of support.
Oh, a lot of support.
The last few months.
Oh, but the last few months. So the wind's not just for you, it's for the trainer, Mr. Edwards, and all the boys in the yard, and the owner, Mr. Flanagan, who's giving you a lot of support over the last few months. After the break.
So everybody, thank you very much indeed. The show is continuing on, but most importantly, please click on the donate button. We're here to raise money for good causes, and just keep the numbers going. So on behalf of myself and Richard, thank you very much, and Lá Féile Pádraig.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.